She had not expected him to walk through the glass doors. 10 years was a long time to carry anger. Long enough that Violet Carter had convinced herself it had settled into something permanent. Controlled. Manageable. She had built an entire life around that belief. Carefully structured days, a reputation for precision, and walls so solid no one ever questioned what they protected. And then he stepped into the conference room like the past had never been buried at all. Violet froze halfway through arranging her presentation materials, fingers tightening around her tablet as the low murmur of conversation shifted. The room was already full: developers, city representatives, legal advisors, but the air changed the second she saw him. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark suit cut perfectly to a body that still moved with the same infuriating confidence she remembered. Ethan Hale, her chest constricted, breath stalling somewhere between disbelief and fury. No, absolutely not. She had read the project brief 3 times. She had vetted every stakeholder. She would have remembered his name. But there he was, shaking hands with the lead developer, his expression calm, professional, composed. Older, yes. Sharper around the eyes. But unmistakably him. The man who had destroyed her career before it even had the chance to begin. Violet forced herself to look away, focusing on the city skyline visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Chicago glittered beyond the glass, cold and brilliant, just like the life she had built without him. She would not let this derail her. She was here because she was the best environmental planning consultant in the Midwest, not because of unfinished emotional business from a decade ago. "Good morning, everyone," the project director said, clapping his hands once. "Let's get started. This redevelopment is one of the most ambitious projects the city has approved in years, and I want to introduce our core leadership team." Violet straightened, professionalism snapping into place like armor. On environmental compliance and sustainability strategy, we have Violet Carter. Polite applause followed. Violet inclined her head, face neutral, pulse anything but. And overseeing development and investment coordination, Ethan Hale. Her jaw tightened as his name landed like a strike to the ribs. Applause again, louder this time. He turned toward the table, eyes scanning the room, and then they found her. For half a second, the world narrowed to the space between them. Surprise flickered across his face, quickly masked by something more controlled, more dangerous. Recognition. Violet felt it like a physical blow. He knew exactly who she was. Of course he did. He always had. Ethan recovered first. He gave her a small nod, professional, unreadable. It was the most infuriating thing she had ever seen. She stared back, refusing to soften, refusing to look away. 10 years ago, she had been the one left scrambling. Reputation in ruins, scholarship pulled, future evaporated. 10 years ago, he had walked away untouched, and now he stood there like he belonged in her world. The meeting began, but Violet barely registered the opening remarks. Her mind replayed memories she had buried under years of discipline and denial. Late nights in the university lab, shared coffee, whispered plans about changing the industry together. She had trusted him, more than anyone, until she learned he had taken credit for her research. Until her advisor had looked at her with disappointment instead of pride. Until everything she had worked for disappeared. "Ms. Carter?" She blinked, realizing all eyes were on her. "Yes," she said calmly, standing. "Apologies. I was reviewing the revised zoning overlays." The director nodded. "Please walk us through your sustainability framework." This, at least, was familiar ground. Violet launched into her presentation with practiced confidence, explaining stormwater management systems, green roofing integration, and long-term environmental impact mitigation. She spoke clearly, decisively, fielding questions without hesitation. And she could feel Ethan watching her, not in the casual way others did, but with an intensity that made her skin prickle, as if he were cataloging every detail, every strength she had built without him. Good, she thought bitterly. Let him see what he did not get to claim. When she finished, the room erupted in approval. Several investors exchanged impressed looks. "This is exactly the kind of forward-thinking approach we need," one of them said. Ethan leaned forward for the first time. I agree, he said. His voice was deeper than she remembered, steadier. It's thorough, innovative, and realistic within budget constraints. Violet's gaze snapped to him. He met it without flinching. Ms. Carter and I will be working closely to integrate these plans into the development timeline, he continued, turning to the group. Environmental compliance cannot be an afterthought. It has to drive the structure from the ground up. Her fingers curled under the table. Working closely, the director smiled, satisfied. Exactly, which brings us to logistics. This project is projected to run 18 months, with significant overlap between development and environmental review. Ms. Carter, Mr. Hale, you'll be co-leading this effort. The words echoed in her head. 18 months. She felt something cold settle in her stomach. After the meeting adjourned, the room slowly emptied. Violet gathered her things quickly, intent on leaving before. Violet. Her name and his voice was a mistake. Too familiar, too loaded. She stopped anyway, because running had never been her style. Yes, Mr. Hale, she said, turning to face him, expression cool and deliberately distant. Something unreadable crossed his face at the formality. I didn't know you were on this project, he said quietly. I could say the same, she replied, though I made sure to know exactly who I'd be working with. A pause stretched between them, thick with unspoken history. I know this is complicated, Ethan began. No, Violet interrupted. It's not. We are professionals. We have a contract. We do the work. We do not revisit the past. His jaw tightened. You don't get to decide that alone. Her laugh was sharp. I decided it 10 years ago. For a moment, he looked like he wanted to say something else, something honest, maybe even apologetic. But the Ethan she remembered had always chosen ambition over explanation. I'm not here to hurt you, he said finally. That's funny, she replied, stepping closer, her voice low, because that's exactly what you're known for. She walked past him without waiting for a response, heels clicking sharply against the polished floor. As the elevator doors closed, Violet exhaled shakily, her reflection staring back at her, composed, controlled, unbroken. But beneath the surface, something old and dangerous had been stirred. And for the first time in 10 years, Violet Carter realized the past was not finished with her yet. Violet did not sleep that night. She lay in her apartment staring at the ceiling, the city's glow bleeding through the thin gap between her curtains. Chicago never truly slept, and neither did her mind. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face across the conference table. Calm, confident, unchanged in all the ways that mattered and altered in ways that unsettled her. She had built her life on distance. Distance from mistakes. Distance from people who knew her before she learned how to survive disappointment. And now, with one signature on a project agreement, that distance had collapsed. At 6:30 in the morning, Violet gave up on sleep and made coffee strong enough to scald away exhaustion. By 7, she was dressed in a tailored navy suit, hair pulled back, expression composed. If Ethan Hale thought he would rattle her, he was about to be disappointed. The project site sat on the city's south edge, a stretch of old warehouses and cracked concrete bordering the river. What was once an industrial artery had become a rusted scar, exactly the kind of challenge Violet specialized in, transforming neglected spaces into something sustainable, something meaningful. She arrived early, clipboard in hand, boots replacing heels. The cold wind cut through her coat as she surveyed the land, already mentally mapping runoff channels and green buffer zones. Always early, a familiar voice said behind her. She did not turn right away. That was never your concern, Violet replied. Ethan stood a few feet back, hands in his coat pockets. No entourage, no investors, just him. That alone irritated her more than if he had shown up surrounded by people. I figured you'd want to walk the site before the contractors arrive, he said. I remember you preferred seeing things firsthand. Her grip tightened on the clipboard. You remember a lot of things that were never yours to remember. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the distant hum of traffic. I deserve that, Ethan said finally. That stopped her. She turned, eyes sharp. Do not say things you are not prepared to back up. His expression shifted, not defensive, not arrogant, but tired. Older in a way money and success could not erase. I'm not here to rewrite history, he said, but I am here to do this project right. Violet studied him, searching for cracks. She had spent years convincing herself that if she ever saw him again, she would feel nothing but anger. What unsettled her now was the presence of something else. Caution, yes, but also curiosity she did not want. Fine, she said. Then let's talk work. They walked the perimeter together, discussing soil contamination, flood risks, and community impact. Their professional rhythm emerged quickly, infuriatingly smooth. He asked smart questions. He listened. He did not interrupt or dismiss her the way others sometimes did. It reminded her of the man he used to be, and that was dangerous. As contractors began to arrive, the conversation shifted to timelines and logistics. Ethan took charge effortlessly, issuing instructions with quiet authority. Violet watched from the side, noting the respect he commanded. Ambition had not ruined him, she realized. It had sharpened him. That realization unsettled her more than anger ever had. Later that afternoon, Violet returned to her office to find an email waiting. Subject: clarification on research attribution, university archives. Her breath caught. The message was from a former faculty administrator at her university, someone she had not spoken to in years. She opened it slowly. Violet, your name came up during an internal review of archived research submissions from a decade ago. There appear to be discrepancies in authorship documentation related to a sustainability model submitted under Ethan Hale's name. We are in the process of re-examining the records. I thought you should know. The room felt suddenly too small. For years, she had told herself the truth did not matter anymore, that what she had lost could never be restored. She had rebuilt without recognition, without apology. And now the past was knocking loudly. Her phone buzzed almost immediately. A text message. Ethan, we need to talk. Not about the project. Violet stared at the screen, heart pounding. 10 years ago, she had been the one asking for explanations. This time, she was not sure she wanted to hear them. She locked her phone, stood, and looked out over the city. Whatever was coming, she could feel it shifting the ground beneath her carefully ordered world. And this time, she would not be the one left in the dark. Violet ignored Ethan's message for exactly 42 minutes. She knew because she watched the clock on her computer screen tick forward, minute by minute, while she pretended to review site reports she had already memorized. Control had always been her weapon. If she responded too quickly, he would think he still had some influence over her. If she waited too long, the silence would start answering questions she was not ready to face. At last, she picked up her phone. Violet, if this is about the project, put it in an email. The reply came almost instantly. Ethan, it's not, and you know it. Her jaw tightened. She stood, grabbed her coat, and left the office without another word. Some conversations could not happen under fluorescent lights and behind glass walls. They required air, space, neutral ground. They met at a small cafe near the river, quiet, understated, the kind of place where conversations disappeared into the hum of background noise. Violet arrived first and chose a table near the window. When Ethan walked in minutes later, she did not look up. You got the email, he said, sitting across from her. She lifted her gaze slowly. So did you? His expression confirmed it. The composed developer from the boardroom was gone, replaced by someone far more careful. They're reopening the archives, Violet said. After 10 years. I didn't know it would happen like this, Ethan replied. Her laugh was humorless. No, of course not. You only knew it would never happen at all. He flinched, and for the first time since she had seen him again, that mattered. I was 24, he said quietly, ambitious, reckless, and convinced I could fix everything if I just moved fast enough. You were old enough to know what you were doing, Violet said. You submitted my model as your own. You let me take the fall. Ethan leaned back, hands clasped tightly together. I told myself I would correct it later. After the fellowship, after the funding, after I had leverage. And when I lost everything, she asked. He met her eyes. I was afraid. The honesty in his voice hit harder than any excuse. Afraid of what? Violet pressed. Of losing what I had taken, he said, and of admitting I did not deserve it. The server arrived, setting down coffee neither of them touched. I did not come here for an apology, Violet said. Apologies do not restore careers. They do not erase humiliation. I know, Ethan said. That is why I contacted the university 2 months ago. Her breath caught. You did what? I requested a review, he continued. Quietly. I did not want publicity. I wanted the record corrected. Violet stared at him, searching for deception. Why now? Because I'm tired of building things on someone else's work, he said. And because when I saw your name on the project brief, I realized the past was no longer theoretical. Silence stretched between them again, heavier this time. You understand, Violet said slowly, that if this review goes public, it could damage your reputation. Yes, and you are willing to risk that? Already did, Ethan said, by telling the truth. For the first time in a decade, Violet felt the ground shift, not under her feet, but inside her. She had imagined this conversation in 100 different ways. None of them included this version of Ethan, stripped of arrogance, burdened by regret. That does not mean I forgive you, she said. I am not asking you to, he replied. Outside, the river moved steadily, indifferent to human reckoning. The waitress returned, breaking the moment. Violet finally lifted her cup, the warmth grounding her. If the records are corrected, she said, it will not give me back the years I lost. I know, Ethan said, but it may give you something you were denied, truth on paper. She studied him for a long moment, then stood. This does not change our working relationship, she said. We remain professional. Understood. But understand this, she added. If this review reveals anything less than full accountability, I will walk away from this project. Publicly. He nodded once. Fair. As Violet left the cafe, the cold air felt different against her skin. She was not healed, not even close. But for the first time, the story she had been forced to live no longer felt finished. And that frightened her almost as much as it freed her. The review moved faster than Violet expected. Within a week, emails began circulating. Formal, carefully worded, but unmistakably serious. University legal counsel, ethics committees, requests for supplemental documentation. What had once been a closed chapter of her life was now an active case file, complete with timestamps and signatures she had memorized long ago. Violet told no one. At work, she remained precise and unflinching, moving through meetings and site inspections with the same authority she always had. If her focus sharpened, no one commented on it. Pressure had always done that to her. Except Ethan noticed. He did not ask questions. He did not hover. Instead, he adjusted timelines quietly, stepped in when discussions grew heated, and redirected attention away from her when scrutiny edged too close. It was a subtle shift, one she would have missed if she were not watching him so carefully. It unsettled her more than open conflict ever could. One evening, long after the office had emptied, Violet sat alone reviewing updated floodplain models. Rain streaked the windows, blurring the city into light and shadow. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, the committee requested my formal statement. I submitted it tonight. She stared at the message, then typed. Violet and a pause. Longer this time. Ethan, I acknowledged sole responsibility. Her breath left her slowly, like air escaping a wound she had learned to live with. She set the phone down and leaned back in her chair, eyes closed. 10 years of rehearsed explanations gone, replaced by 3 words that should have come a decade ago. Sole responsibility. The next morning, the news reached her from an unexpected source. Violet, the project director said, stepping into her office, his tone careful. There's been some external communication regarding one of our partners. I want to assure you, it does not affect your standing here. Her stomach tightened. What kind of communication? Academic, he said. Historical. Apparently, Mr. Hale has voluntarily reopened a matter from his university years. Voluntarily. She nodded once. Thank you for telling me. When he left, Violet closed the door and stood very still. This was the moment she had imagined, vindication approaching at last. And yet the triumph she expected did not arrive. What replaced it was quieter, heavier, the realization that the person who had wronged her was no longer hiding. By midday, Ethan asked to speak with her privately. They met in a small conference room overlooking the river. The glass walls made the space feel exposed, nowhere to retreat. The committee will issue their findings within 2 weeks, Ethan said. They may contact you directly. I am prepared, Violet replied. He hesitated. There is something else. She waited. If the correction is made official, he said, your original work will be restored under your name. That includes citations that shaped early sustainability policy. Her hands tightened on the table edge. That work helped build your career, she said quietly. Yes, he answered, and it should have built yours. The admission hung between them, stripped of defensiveness. I want to be clear, Violet said. This does not erase what happened. I know, and I am not doing this for closure, she continued. I am doing it because truth matters. He nodded. That is why I'm doing it too. Outside, the rain had stopped. Sunlight broke through the clouds, reflecting off the river's surface in fractured patterns. Whatever happens next, Ethan said, I will not interfere. Violet stood. You already did 10 years ago. This time, you are stepping aside. That is the difference. As she left the room, Violet felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Not forgiveness, not relief, but balance. The weight she had carried alone was finally being shared. For the first time, the past was not chasing her. It was catching up to the truth. The city skyline glimmered beneath the setting sun as Violet stepped onto the terrace of the new development she had overseen. The project launch was more than a professional triumph. It was a statement. Every detail bore her signature. The green rooftops, the solar panels, the native gardens that wove nature into concrete. Investors and city officials were still moving through the space below, but up here, with the wind brushing against her hair, Violet allowed herself a rare moment of stillness. Her phone buzzed, and she saw Logan's name. On his way, it read. Her heart lifted. He had been her anchor through the storm of emails, revisions, and late-night design debates. He had been present, calm, unwavering, even when the world tried to tear her apart with doubt. Moments later, Logan appeared, sleek in a tailored suit that somehow made his confidence tangible. He approached her, eyes scanning her face as if memorizing every line, every flicker of emotion. How are my girls? He asked, his voice light but filled with affection. She smiled, instinctively reaching for his hand. We don't know the gender yet, she said. I know, he countered, a sly grin tugging at his lips. Father's intuition, or maybe I just want someone to gang up on you with. Violet laughed softly, leaning back into his embrace. The warmth of his body and the steady rhythm of his heartbeat calmed the tension she had carried for so long. This shared quiet, this effortless trust was what she had fought for without realizing it. Worth it, though, he murmured, his hands settling protectively over hers on her stomach. Yes, she breathed. She traced patterns on his cuff with a finger, marveling at how far they had come. 1 year ago, she had been consumed by anger, suspicion, and a sense of betrayal she believed was real. Now, she was here, married to the man who had once been the source of her pain, expecting a child, and guiding a project that would leave a legacy. You ever miss fighting? She asked, tilting her head to look at him. We still fight, Logan admitted, a teasing spark in his eyes. Not like we used to, because now we make up properly, she added, a smile playing at her lips. Exactly, he said, spinning her slightly in his arms. Want to argue about baby names next? She laughed through a soft exhale. I want to name her after my grandmother. Martha, he teased. Classic. Terrible, he countered, capturing her in a playful kiss. See, we're still good at this. Violet pressed closer despite her growing belly, feeling a contentment she had never allowed herself before. Logan had changed everything, not by grand gestures or empty promises, but by staying, by choosing her, every day. He had proven himself worthy not just of her love, but of her trust. As the sun dipped lower, bathing the city in shades of gold and pink, Violet thought of the decade she had spent hating, fearing, and misjudging him. The betrayal that had haunted her never truly existed. The truth, long obscured by lies and misunderstandings, had finally emerged, and it had changed everything. She rested her head against his chest, breathing in the steady beat of his heart. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you more," he replied, a grin tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Impossible. Watch me prove it," he said. And he did. Every day, in small acts and grand gestures, in laughter and arguments, in late nights spent working side by side, in mornings filled with coffee and warmth, in whispered promises and bold declarations. For the first time in 10 years, Violet felt free. Free from a shadow of a betrayal that had never happened. Free from the anxiety that had once consumed her. Free to live, love, and build a future with the man who had always been meant for her. And above all, she realized that home was not a place or a title. It was Logan. It was their shared victories, their quiet moments, their laughter, and the love that had grown strong and unshakable despite years of misunderstanding. Together, they would face whatever came next. Together, they had already won. The city lights flickered below as Violet tightened her hand around Logan's, her heart full. Their story was no longer about betrayal, no longer about fear. It was about love, about resilience, and about a life they would create together, perfectly imperfect and wholly theirs. And in that moment, on the rooftop that overlooked the city they had helped shape, Violet knew without doubt that the past had finally led her to exactly where she belonged. The following morning, sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of their shared apartment, painting the room in soft gold. Violet stirred under the warmth of Logan's arm, the familiar weight comforting, grounding her. She blinked up at him, half smiling, half dreaming, as he pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. "Morning," he murmured, voice still husky from sleep. "Morning," she replied, reaching up to brush his hair back from his face. His eyes sparkled, a mix of mischief and love, and she felt the familiar flutter of excitement she had first noticed the day he had walked her to her car after the project launch. Even after everything, that spark hadn't dimmed. "You're unusually quiet," Logan noted, tilting his head. "Thinking about coffee. Thinking about life," she admitted, laughing softly. "About us. About how different everything is now." He chuckled, kissing her temple again. "Different, yes. Better, I hope." Violet nodded, resting her head against his chest. "Much better. I've spent 10 years hating you for something that never happened, Logan. And now," her voice faltered for a second, caught in the weight of truth and relief. "Now I can't imagine life without you." He tightened his arms around her, as if to physically seal that sentiment. "And I can't imagine mine without you, Violet. Not now, not ever." She smiled into his chest, the sound muffled but full of warmth. "Do you ever think about the past? About what we lost?" "All the time," he admitted honestly, "but I don't dwell on it. I focus on what we have, on what we're building. You, me, our family, our future." That mention of the future caused her pulse to quicken. Their child, growing steadily inside her, was a living symbol of the love and trust they had fought to reclaim. She could feel the life within her, a soft, fluttering rhythm that matched her own heartbeat. Later that morning, after breakfast and shared laughter, they headed to the new development for the official press unveiling of the community spaces. Cameras flashed, journalists scribbled notes, and city officials gave speeches praising the project's sustainability and innovation. Violet moved through the crowd with grace, but every so often her gaze met Logan's, and she felt the familiar pull of intimacy, a private language no one else could understand. During a quieter moment, Logan guided her to a secluded corner of the rooftop garden. He pulled her close, resting his forehead against hers. "Do you remember the first time we were here together?" he asked softly. Violet laughed, a sound filled with nostalgia. "The gala, right? You insisted on dancing with me, even though I hadn't wanted to. And yet, you didn't run," he teased. "I didn't," she admitted, smiling. "And look at us now." "Exactly. Look at us now," he repeated, voice low, filled with awe. "We survived the past, the doubts, the miscommunication. And we didn't just survive, we thrived. Together. Tears pricked her eyes, but this time they were tears of joy, of triumph. The decade of misunderstanding, of resentment that had once seemed so insurmountable, had finally given way to something far stronger: love, trust, and partnership. As the day wore on, Violet found herself surrounded by colleagues and friends, all congratulating her and Logan, praising their collaboration and vision. Yet, even amid the celebration, her attention kept drifting back to him. Logan, standing slightly apart, scanning the crowd for her, a small, satisfied smile tugging at his lips when he saw her watching. After the ceremony, they returned to their apartment, tired but elated. The city lights twinkled outside, a mirror of the stars above. Logan poured them both glasses of wine, and they sat on the balcony, overlooking the city they had helped shape. "You know," Violet began, swirling the wine in her glass, "I never thought I'd be here. Married, expecting a child, running a company I love, and genuinely happy." "Happy?" Logan asked, raising an eyebrow. "Completely," she said, meeting his eyes. "And it's all because of you. Because we chose to trust each other, even after everything." He reached across the small table, taking her hand in his. "We chose each other," he corrected softly. "And we'll keep choosing each other every day. That's what this us has always been about. Not the past, not mistakes, not doubts. But right here, right now." Her heart swelled, and she leaned across the table to kiss him. It was tender, full of promise, and utterly reassuring. In that moment, the weight of 10 years of fear, anger, and misunderstanding lifted, replaced entirely by the certainty that they were finally exactly where they were meant to be. Later that night, as Violet lay in Logan's arms, she whispered against his chest, "We made it. After everything, we really made it." He kissed the top of her head, holding her close. "We did, and this is only the beginning." Outside, the city continued its restless hum, oblivious to the quiet miracle unfolding in their apartment. Inside, two hearts beat in unison, joined by love that had been tested, refined, and proven unbreakable. And as Violet drifted to sleep, a soft smile on her lips, she knew the truth of the past no longer held power over her. The betrayal that had never happened was finally a memory, replaced by a life full of hope, passion, and a love that would endure every challenge life might throw their way. This was their forever, and they would never let go.